Welcome back to Gita Verse Hub. Before we begin today, I invite you to slow down just a little. Let your shoulders relax. Let the urgency of the day soften. Because the verses we are about to enter are not philosophical arguments. They are human moments. In earlier episodes, Arjuna asked Krishna to place the chariot between the two armies, and Krishna did. In verses 1.20 to 1.26, Arjuna saw not enemies but people. Teachers who shaped him, elders who blessed him, friends who grew up with him, relatives whose names carried memories. And now, in verses 1.27 to 1.31, something irreversible happens. Arjuna does not simply hesitate, he unravels. The Gita, famously revered as a spiritual text, does something unexpected here. It does not begin with enlightenment, it begins with collapse. And that is why it remains timeless. Tan samiksha sa kaunteya sarvan bandhuna vasthitan kripaya paraya vishto vishidan nita brahmvita. Arjuna vacha drishtiman swajanan krishna yutsum samapasthitam sidanti mama gatrari mukham cha parishushyati. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all the different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen arrayed for battle here and intent on killing each other, my limbs are giving way and my mouth is drying up." This is Bhagavad Gita, verse 1.27 and 1.28. Sri Krishna's words had the desired effect on Arjuna. Looking at the armies on both sides of the battlefield, his heart sank. They were all Kurus, his relatives. The brave warrior who wanted to punish the Kauravas for all their wickedness a few minutes back suddenly became fearful. Comprehending the devastation this war would cause, his valor started to diminish. Hence, Sanjay has called him Kaunteya, the son of Kunti, denoting that Arjuna had become soft-hearted, similar to his mother. However, Arjuna was now very confused and his mind filled with questions. Arjuna realized that all the warriors on the battlefield, ready to shed blood, were none other than his own relatives, friends, and family. He was filled with remorse and fearful of performing his duty of fighting this war. The cause for these sentiments was his attachment towards his bodily relatives. He became forgetful of his spiritual existence, that he was not just a body. His affection for his bodily relatives had blinded his consciousness. In the materialistic concept, we consider ourselves to be only the body, which is emotionally attached to all its bodily relatives. As this attachment is based on ignorance, it carries with it the physical burdens of life, like pain, sorrow, grief, and death. Only the death of the physical body can end these materialistic attachments. We are more than just a physical body. Our eternal souls are beyond life and death. Tangled in the various attachments of the material world, we keep forgetting that the Supreme Lord is our only permanent relative. He is the Father, Mother, Friend, Master, and Beloved of our soul. As is evident from the purport in Bhagavad Gita as is, any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods. Whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them, who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically, the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's body, limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. We find so much relevance of these verses in our modern day-to-day life. We often find ourselves in situations when the body collapses before the mind decides. These verses capture a moment of moral shock, when a situation forces you to confront the human cost of your actions. Before logic engages, the body reacts. Weak limbs, dry mouth, loss of strength, inability to speak. Modern science calls this acute stress response. The Gita calls it conscience awakening. At workplace and leadership, these verses play out in moments like a manager who must lay off team members they personally mentored, a senior leader realizing a strategic decision will deeply harm people, not just metrics, a whistleblower frozen before speaking because truth will fracture relationships. In such moments, you don't think first, you feel first, and the feeling is physical. Ethical tension often manifests in the body before it becomes a thought. Leadership culture today often celebrates tough decisions. The Gita reminds us, if a decision doesn't disturb you at all, something may already be numb. In family and personal life, a parent must set boundaries that will hurt their child temporarily. A caregiver feels physically drained at the thought of making the right call. A family member must confront another about addiction abuse, or denial. The body resists because love is involved. Emotional paralysis in such moments is not weakness. It is attachment revealing itself. Many people today experience burnout, anxiety, decision paralysis. Often they say, "I don't know why I feel this way. I just shut down." These verses explain why. When values clash, the nervous system overloads. The Gita normalizes this experience instead of pathologizing it. According to Swami Prabhupada, Arjuna's reaction is born of material compassion, attachment to bodily relationships. In modern terms, caring deeply but without inner clarity, feeling responsibility but lacking grounding in purpose. This is not condemned. It is the starting condition for wisdom. Vepatuscha sarire me roma harshashva jayate ganivang shashante hastatva kvache paridhante. Arjun continues, "My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning." This is Bhagavad Gita Verse 1.29. As is evident from the purport in the Bhagavad Gita as it is, there are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standings of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjun's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow, Gandiva, was slipping from his hands. And because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. In this verse, Arjuna describes physical sensations triggered by inner emotional conflict: trembling, goosebumps, loss of grip, burning skin. These are not poetic metaphors. They are embodied reactions. Swami Prabhupada points out that such signs occur either in spiritual ecstasy or intense fear due to material identification. And in Arjun's case, it is the latter, fear of life loss and emotional turmoil. This verse is deeply psychological. It is not about battlefield drama. It's about what happens inside us when we confront a value conflict. We face a moral dilemma. Personal attachments and professional expectations collide. Let's break down the relevance. The human nervous system reacts before reasoning kicks in. Examples: before a difficult apology, your body shakes. Before confronting a loved one, your skin feels hot. Before telling truth to power, your hair stands on end. Why this matters? Most people feel uneasy when facing an ethically charged situation. but misinterpret it as weakness or irrationality. In reality, this is a psychological signal of internal conflict, a body alerting you that something deeply important is being challenged. Arjuna's bow slipping from his hand is a powerful metaphor for loss of facility under pressure. You can think of modern parallels. A surgeon's hands tremble when the outcome is uncertain. A public speaker blanks out despite years of experience. An executive freezes when a decision impacts people they respect. Even experts lose grasp when emotional stakes are high. Skill alone does not guarantee clarity under moral pressure. People today often experience chronic anxiety, decision paralysis, physical stress symptoms without obvious cause. But what Arjuna's experience shows is the overwhelm is not random. It is a response to a conflict of values. When what you must do clashes with what you care about, the body reacts first. This is especially true in high-stakes modern contexts. Healthcare decisions, ethical dilemmas at work, family versus career conflicts, leadership choices with human consequences. In all these, the body's response is wisdom signaling before conscious decision-making. Prabhupada's purport emphasizes that Arjuna's symptoms arise from material fear, not fearlessness of spiritual realization. Translated into modern terms, fear grounded in personal attachment is what destabilizes us. Consider fear of judgment, fear of loss of identity, fear of letting go of old roles, fear of disappointing others. Such fears are not merely mental. They show up physically. The physical signs in this verse represent a breakdown in internal coherence. Your old identity is holding you one way, but your deeper intuition is pulling you another. This is a common experience for many. Mid-career professionals questioning path, caregivers torn between duty and self-care, students facing emotional burnout, parents struggling with conflicting responsibilities. This is not confusion, it's a transition phase. Arjuna's physical reactions show that something with him is not aligned with the outer scenario. He is not scared of battle itself. He is trained for it. He is shaken by the moral question of killing his own kin. This distinction is crucial in everyday life. You can be highly capable at your job, but feel sick making a decision that conflicts with your values. You can be emotionally resilient generally, but freeze when deeply personal ethics are involved. These are not personal failings. They are signals calling for reflection and clarity. When your body reacts this strongly, you are deeply invested in the outcome. You care about consequences that matter. The decision touches your identity. The Gita illustrates that wisdom begins not when all is calm, but when calm is lost. This is a profound reversal of modern culture that often tries to suppress or ignore uncomfortable reactions. Nacha saknomyavasthatum bharmavativa charnamana nimittani cha pasyami viparitani keshava nacha shriyuns pasyami hatva swajanmahabe. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesari demon. I only see omens of misfortune. I do not foresee how good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. This is Bhagavad Gita Verse 1.30 and 1.31. As is evident from the purport in Bhagavad Gita as it is, due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The words nimittani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, "Why am I here?" Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Here, Arjuna has addressed Sri Krishna as Kesava, killer of a demon called Keshi. Yet, for Arjuna, the thought of killing his own relatives troubled him to such an extent that his body started to tremble. He was unable to even hold his magnificent bow Gandiv, which could emit sounds that petrified even the most powerful enemies. Arjuna had become so delusioned that superstition started gripping him. He could only see bad omens, indicating severe devastation. Thus, he felt it would be a sin to engage in such a battle. These verses speak directly to psychological breakdown, stress overload, bias in perception, and disoriented decision-making. All core features of what many people experience in modern life. Internal instability. I cannot stand firm. This line captures the felt sense of losing inner balance, even when nothing externally catastrophic has happened. You can be physically upright, functionally present, socially composed, yet, internally, you feel unanchored. This is seen in situations such as burnout, where routines continue but inner grounding is gone. Work anxiety, you go through motions without confidence. Existential drift, success feels hollow, but you can't articulate why. This state has a name in psychology: internal fragmentation, where external appearance remains normal, but inner coherence collapses. Arjuna, standing on the battlefield, but unable to stand within himself, mirrors this directly. Mental turbulence. My mind is whirling like a cyclone. This is the chaotic mind state most people know intimately. Racing thoughts, replaying scenarios, jumping from one worry to another, inability to focus. Psychologists call this cognitive overload or ruminative thinking. People experience this when facing complex ethical choices, confronted with major life decisions, dealing with prolonged pressure without resolution, feeling pulled in conflicting directions. Examples: a professional who must choose between corporate growth and ethical pullback. A caregiver torn between duty and personal well-being. A leader debating layoffs despite valuing long-term relationships. In these moments, the mind stops thinking logically and starts spinning like a treadmill of worries. This is exactly what Arjuna describes. Distorted perception. I see only adverse omens. This is one of the most profound psychological insights in the Gita. Arjuna does not say, I see reality clearly. He says, I see adverse signs everywhere. This describes negative bias effect. When the mind, under distress, interprets neutral or even positive signals as threatening. This is what modern psychology calls catastrophizing or confirmation bias in negative direction. When we are in internal turmoil, the brain prioritizes threat interpretation. The nervous system searches for danger signals. Our meaning-making shifts towards worst-case scenarios. This is universal in stress. Whether the battlefield is literal or metaphorical. What this reveals about human experience? The body fails first. The mind begins to spin. Perception becomes distorted. Clarity gets replaced with fear-laden interpretation. This is not weakness. It's the psyche's survival response to conflict. Arjuna's experience is not exceptional. It is prototypical. Practical takeaways for today. Number 1. Discomfort is a signal, not a verdict. Your stress is not telling you you are failing. It is pointing to internal conflict. Number 2. When perception distorts toward negativity, the mind isn't clear. Clarity comes not by forcing strength, but by acknowledging inner agitation. Number 3. Confidence is not absence of fear. Confidence is a stable mind under tension. Number 4. Breakdown is the gateway to self-inquiry. Arjun's confusion did not end in collapse. It became the opening for deeper introspection. What we have witnessed in verses 1.27 to 1.31 is not a debate. It is not a philosophy. It is not even a decision. It is a human being coming undone. Arjuna does not fall because he is weak. He falls because he is awake. His body trembles before his mind can explain. His identity loosens before his duty can defend itself. Victory loses meaning before wisdom has even spoken. The Bhagavad Gita begins here, not with answers, not with sermons, but with honest collapse. Because clarity does not enter a mind that is pretending. It enters a mind that has run out of certainty. In these verses, the Gita quietly gives us permission to feel what modern life often tells us to suppress. The heaviness of moral choice, the exhaustion of divided values, the emptiness of success without meaning, the fear that arises when old identities no longer fit. Arjuna stands on the battlefield, unable to stand within himself, and in that moment, he becomes timeless. He becomes us. But this is not the end of the story. This breakdown is not the conclusion. It is the threshold. In the next episode, something subtle but revolutionary will happen. Arjuna will stop explaining. He will stop justifying. He will stop arguing with himself. And for the first time, he will turn towards Krishna, not for validation, but for guidance. The questions that follow will change the direction of the Gita forever. In the next verses, the student will finally emerge from the warrior. So, stay with us on Gita Verse Hub. Because the teaching does not begin when the mind is strong. It begins when the mind is ready to listen. The silence before wisdom is sacred. If you wish to walk through the Bhagavad Gita slowly, thoughtfully, and verse by verse, you are welcome to subscribe to Gita Verse Hub. If a reflection, question, or insight arose while listening, you are invited to share it in the comments. The space is for inquiry, not debate. And if this episode may serve someone else at this moment in their life, you may share it as an offering. Until we meet again, observe carefully, act consciously, and let clarity guide you forward. Until then, Hare Krishna.